White Sox postgame show, coming to you live from Studio B of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, the full CHGO White Sox crew. That's our CHGO White Sox beat writer, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him at Vinnie Duber and read his work at allchgo.com. The man in the middle is Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him at EcknerWall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. You can follow the show at CHGO_White Sox. We're being produced today by Sarah.
Hi.
Hello. And as you can see from the bag on my head, the White Sox had 121 losses on the year. It is history over. History. But is it? It is the most losses in a year since 1962. But are they the worst team ever?
Kind of.
Yeah. Technically, because of this win today, the White Sox have a better win-loss percentage than the 1962 Mets, because the Mets only played 161 games, so their winning percentage 25%. The White Sox 25.3%. Does that 0.3% separate the White Sox?
No.
Okay.
I mean, mathematically, it does.
It does, but I say they're bigger losers because they lost more games.
I would agree. And also, I mean, it's 0.3%. We can count one loss as a total whole, you know? I mean, there's a 0.7 difference if I'm doing the math. I'm going to take this off. Vinny wrote a piece on Friday when it became official. The 2024 White Sox are the worst MLB team in modern baseball history.
He wrote it on Tuesday, but he had to wait till Friday to publish it.
All right. And things aren't looking much better for 2025. White Sox chairman Jerry Reinsdorf did put out a statement today. We'll get to that in the second half of today's show. We'll also get into the White Sox rotation and the future of that, especially with Jonathan Cannon's okay start today. White Sox win 9-5 in what could be the longest baseball game in history.
That's not true.
Working 9-5. What did we take away from this game? It just felt like more White Sox, but maybe the Tigers were still hungover from Friday?
Yeah, and it looked like also Lenny Sosa continuing his torrid second half of the season where he's been hitting the ball with a little bit more authority. The 3-run home run he hit off of Kenta Maeda on a sinker or a slider that didn't sink or slide was good to see. Now, will that player continue this into next year? It's going to be very hard to see how something at the end of a 2024 season can lead to 6 months later being converted into a good 2025. Now, you might just learn lessons in this last couple months that Lilleen has gotten and saying, okay, I've understood what pitchers are trying to do to me, how pitches move in the major leagues. I can be a little bit more aware of how the movements of those pitches are either good or bad for me to swing at, et cetera, et cetera. But as far as the momentum from a good 2024 moving into a good 2025, I don't think that actually exists. So it's good to see these young players, him, Zach LaRoche, or DeLoach.
Yeah, you're thinking of
putting like the singer,
Rage Against the Machine?
Yeah, the singer together. Zach DeLoach having a good end of his career season.
He did.
Same thing, yeah. He was hitting like 260.
Did he hit a homer?
He did hit a home run on Friday or Saturday.
Yeah, Friday.
Yeah. You get Andrew Benintendi with his 20 home runs on the year. Same thing with Andrew Vaughn getting a little bit better in the second half. Now, all these players are below major league average as far as being a hitter. So there's a lot of work to do, but if you're looking for positives, you got a couple positives on the hitter side and a lot on the pitching side.
Look at Herb just diving into this game and giving you factual analysis. I came prepared with a ream of paper. These are my scorecards from the season. And you know what I think about this game? It means the season is over. So let's throw some of these in the air. Here's a game where they played the Royals, and it probably wasn't the one. Oh, maybe this was the one they won.
Did they win?
Yes. Oh, okay. That's a bad example.
All right,
okay.
Well, no.
Pedro Fall was the manager.
There's 41 wins. Let's see if you can go 2 for 2.
All right.
That has to be a win.
Nationals.
That has to be a win.
That's a shutout.
That's Eric Fetty hit.
Holy smokes. No, this is Crochet.
Damn. All right.
Well, what a bit this is turning out to be.
Let's go.
Here, there's one I definitely know is a loss because it's folded weird in here. Let's see if I can find it. Riveting radio, folks.
I mean, it's kind of TV. It's half TV.
Here's a game where they played the Reds. They definitely lost this one.
They got swept.
Oh, boy. There's a lot of runs
the
for the
game?
Reds. I don't know. Michael Soroka started it, so you know that's a loss. There you go. Here's another one against the Nationals that they also probably won. Good
What
gracious.
is up with you?
Guardians, they definitely lost that one.
Just pick another one out.
Yeah, Eric Fetty started this one.
That needs to be thrown a little more on camera.
Oh,
there
wow.
we go.
Oh, jeez.
There they go.
All right.
What two did I end up with? A's.
Those have to be wins, too.
Yeah, and Angels, they won that one.
Okay, so you
there you go.
pulled out
Just pulling out
five
all wins.
of those, and they were
There you go.
4-1.
What a season!
The worst team ever. It shows you that the
season.
bright side is that, hey, it's not all that bad. We saw 41 wins. We could get through those in 60 seconds.
Here's some that are on the floor. Oh, yeah, here's back-to-back home runs for the Twins. That's a loss. Here's the Dodgers. They had to lose that one.
Yeah, they got swept.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, they barely had any hits
What
in this
Ohtani
game.
do?
Ohtani in this game led off with a home run.
There it is.
Walked and scored on his second trip to the plate and walked in his fourth.
What a bum.
So we got on base 3 times. All right.
It's over, folks.
It's over, folks. You've made it. And we'll go to the chat. Thank you, Ian, for saying it was better with my bag on. I assume he's saying my face, so appreciate that. And Eric saying White Sox losses were a non-expansion team. Their losses count for more since this team is built and fielded. This is a team they built and fielded. That performed so badly. Hit the thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribing to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. I mean, we even saw more of that today. They got fairly lucky to escape with a victory today. It was 5-4. Jonathan Cannon gives up the grand slam to not Parker Meadows, but Kerry Carpenter. And then even in the 6th inning, you have a play where the guys that were roommates in Cal, Corey Lee and Andrew Vaughn, looking at each other on a ball that should be Andrew Vaughn's, and it drops right between them on a routine pop fly. So it's just more consistent crap. I mean, this team got lucky to get a win, but it felt like there was not that much luck this year.
I just randomly pulled opening day. There it is.
That's a loss.
It was a loss. It was.
Find the other Kenta Maeda
Here's
game.
another.
That
Is this
should be-
another one they won?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Tampa,
this is the Rays.
They
They
dominated.
swept that series.
All right.
They should make me the general manager.
Yeah, this bit didn't turn out
no,
to
it
be
did not at
what
all.
you thought it was.
I thought it was
Find all
going to
the
be
wins.
so silly. Oh, here, they screwed this one up bad. They lost this one.
Yeah, Twins.
That's a Twins game. Looks like John Brebbia gave up 1 million runs in the 9th inning.
Is
Makes
it a
sense.
coincidence that the Twins fell off the table right after they didn't have any more White Sox games? They're like, man, we're feasting on this bumness. And then when there wasn't any more of that bumness, they're like, what the hell? Actual Major League Baseball teams?
Hey.
What is this?
And at least the Tigers,
And then the Tigers, White Sox are on the schedule. Let's eat. Except for these last couple of days, they're like,
yeah,
who cares?
Sox finished 3-10 against the Tigers. Against Cleveland, they finished 5-8. So hey, take that for what
Oh
it's
my
worth. Kansas City, they went 1-12 against, and then Minnesota, they went 1-12 against. So thank you to the Chicago White Sox for making 2 AL Central teams go to the playoffs.
Here's a game in which both Robbie Grossman and Rafi Ortega pinch hit in the 8th inning.
Rafi Ortega is going to be one of those tough. I mean, now that Rafi Ortega is being gifted to you, friends, don't forget that when we're doing the quiz. I'll just say Rafael Ortega's name over and over again so you don't finish it. Fred is asking a fairly decent question.
Oh, my God.
DMK is bringing it up, too. Ugh. Is that his first career homer?
No.
No, that was that. I was at.
That was
Brady
at
Shoot-
Guaranteed Rate Field.
Yeah, it was the second game of the year.
That was the Kenta Maeda game.
It was the Kenta Maeda game.
It all comes back to Kenta Maeda, folks. But Fred and DMK17 asking fairly similar questions. Do you think this was Vaughn's last game as a Sox? He thinks, Fred at least, is getting non-tendered. Sarah, can you flash the batting graphic? And I think we gave you the pitching graphics, but there was one hitting one. You bring up Andrew Vaughn's all right finish to the season. I was laughing when the White Sox flashed this. It's not that one. Was there another one? It was a screenshot. Nope, the other one. Yes, there it is. 1 out of 3 ain't bad. So you bring up Andrew Vaughn's finish to the season along with Lenine Sosa.
Yep.
The White Sox broadcast flashed this. The White Sox, Andrew Vaughn in his last 59 games, and then what that 150 game pace would be. You could see that in those 59 games, 59 hits for Vaughn, 8 homers, 27 RBIs. The problem with the 150 game pace is he played 139 games. He had 139 hits, and they pace him for 150 hits. He had 19 homers. They paced him for 20 homers. And they paced him for 69 RBIs. He had 70.
So he had the season.
So he's just Andrew Vaughn.
Right.
So there's nothing to really look forward to in that stat. I mean, Sarah, can you flash the Lenine Sosa, the same one again? Because I just want to get to the Lenine Sosa part. The Andrew Benintendi one's fair to bring up. Andrew Benintendi hitting 33 homers. 20 is, I think, his career high. So 33, there you go. I mean, that would be really setting it apart. But Lenine Sosa in his 99 games had 8 home runs and 32 RBIs. RBIs. They're projecting him over 150 games to have 10 homers and 54 RBIs.
That's more.
It is more, but I feel like it's just a little bit off. But yeah, I don't know about Vaughn not being non-tendered. It doesn't seem like with the dearth of talent, the White Sox can just overlook a former first-round pick. I think that he will be tendered, even though it's for $5 million, because they have a lot of money coming off the books and they could afford that $5 million. And then also it's a former first-round pick. There's no real reason right now to give up on him because you just don't have the talent. Maybe if you really feel great about Tim Elko, but I mean, you could probably cut Andrew Vaughn opening day or before opening day if you don't like how he's performing in spring training and you really love Tim Elko. I don't think that you
have to pay him though. Still, if you cut him before opening day,
yeah, but I mean, like
that'll be $5 million. You have to still pay.
Oh well.
I
know what they're going to have a budget of $65 million.
Yeah,
they just gave an extra $1 million to Chris Flexen for throwing 160 innings. I mean, I don't know. I'm just trying to think. Like, I don't see the reason to get rid of Andrew Vaughn. I understand it because he's a bad baseball player, but I don't see it logistically from the White Sox.
Well, I could see them doing like the Braves did to the White Sox last year, where they're about to DFA a bunch of people or non-tender a bunch of people on their roster, and instead of doing that, they trade him to the White Sox for Aaron Bummer. Now, is Andrew Vaughn have any gravitas, any like pull towards any other team? Probably not, because if you're seeing his 4 years of playing baseball, you're like, as a first baseman who really is not a good fielding first baseman, that doesn't have any power and doesn't hit for average, this is terrible. But you can also say, like, maybe it's the White Sox and what they're developing him as. And another team gives up a low minor league player to acquire Andrew Vaughn on their team. A team like the Pirates, Cincinnati, those type of teams where they're not going to go out and get a big-time free agent first baseman, but they can see Andrew Vaughn being part of their future and 2 years left on his contract, being arbitration eligible, being very inexpensive. I don't think they should DFA or just non-tender Andrew Vaughn for nothing. It is more enticing for Chris Getz to do it because he didn't draft him. So he has no like actual pull towards Andrew Vaughn because he doesn't get judged for him. But I think it'll be foolhardy to just let him go on the free open market as a 26, 27-year-old, 28-year-old player that was a Golden Spikes Award winner, was a great hitter in college, and it hasn't materialized in the major leagues. But as I said, teams could be thinking something about that White Sox outfit is not getting that man to the next level, so we want to pick that man up and get him to the next level. 26
now, 27 around opening day, April 3rd.
Okay, so that's what I think.
I would think that the risk of trying to see if you could squeeze a couple, 2-3 good months out of the guy to try and turn him into a more appealing trade target would probably be worth it. I think it depends exactly how much they want to lower that payroll, because we know that that's going to be an objective this year, is to try to remain payroll conscious. And if they say, hey, a few $1 million here is worth saving, Andrew Vaughn's not maybe working his way into the long-term planning here, what's the point of having him next year, right? I mean, I think you could definitely see that, playing out, because this team's not going to be, or not expected to be, much better than it is right now by the time next season starts. If you're having Andrew Vaughn there, why are you paying him if the idea is that you're just going to continue to be one of the worst teams in the league while you wait for the guys in the minor leagues to come on up? If they are really gung-ho about saving a few million, then that would be a way to do it. But I think, like I said at the start there, to hold on to him for a little bit longer and say maybe this guy can hit 15 home runs by the end of June next year and can trade him to somebody else for anything better than you would get right now.
Hey, if he has a second half like he did, watch out. He might hit 20 home runs. We're going to take a break here on the CHGO White Sox podcast. Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf spoke, and then, he spoke and someone...
he wrote.
He wrote a statement, so we will read that statement.
He wrote it on typewriter? He
post it. All right, we're going to take a break, and I'm really excited about this new partner, and you should be too, mainly because I get to do my Danny Parkins impression. Oh, wait. No, now I'm nervous, Herb.
Yeah, I mean, no one knows who he is.
They do. Damn. All right. They say first impressions are... No, I can't do it. They say first impressions are important. What about lasting impressions? That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you could stay hard and perform at your very best. They say first impressions are important, but what about lasting importance? Why is this copy and pasted twice? Does Blue Chew work? If you're asking that question, we want you to know Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is by giving you a whole month free. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of a cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door, and the best part is it's all done online. That means no visits to the doctors, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You could take them at any time, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And again, Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is. They're going to give you a free month. You could try it for a free month and see. You're going to love it, and your partner is going to love it as well. The special deal is try Blue Chew for free when you use promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's bluechew.com, BLUECHEU.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit bluechew.com for more details and important safety informations, and we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast.
Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on the great seats, so you don't have to waste your time searching through 1,000 tickets. A couple weekends ago, we went to Back to the Future the musical, and of course, we use Game Time, and we also use Game Time to buy our Anderson Paak tickets for Meigs Field, whatever the Meigs Field thing is called.
You're
now.
still calling it Meigs
Northern
Field?
Island.
Northern Lee
Grandpa.
Island,
Yeah.
that place.
Herb.
Yeah. I've never been.
It hasn't been Meigs Field for some time.
I've actually never been to that venue, but I'm excited about going this Friday to see my guy, Anderson Paak, because I know that when I go to Game Time, their Game Time guarantee, which states that if you find a lower price in any of the section or the section or row that you're sitting in, Game Time will send you 110% of the difference, just like what I got in Atlanta a couple of years ago. A couple other things I love about Game Time is the all-in pricing. Toggling this feature shows you the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout, and you get panoramic views from your seat in the app before you go to buy. And Game Time ticket coverage is your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. You can take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today.
What time is it? Game time. Woo!
Woo!
You can chew it and do it. Get a boner. There it is. See, but I couldn't do that for the entire thing. Sorry, Sarah. Yeah. That was probably way too aggressive.
That was good Parkins.
Thank you. They couldn't do that for 60 minutes, though, or 60 seconds. All right, that's probably why I need Blue Chew. There you go. Or because I'm wearing nail polish. All right. Jerry Reinsdorf typed this up today. To White Sox fans, by all measures, our on-field performance this season was a failure. As the leader of this organization, that is ultimately my responsibility. There are no excuses. I want to thank you for your continued support for this team throughout what was an embarrassing season. You all deserve better. This season's performance was completely unacceptable, and the varying reactions and emotions from our fan base are completely understandable. While embracing new ideas and outside perspectives, we will do everything we can to fix this for 2025 and the future. This will include further development of players on our current roster, development within our system, evaluating the trade and free agent markets to improve our ball club, and new leadership for our analytics department, allowing us to elevate and improve every process within our organization with a focus for competing for championships. In fact, change has already been happening in our baseball operations group throughout this past year. When named general manager in 2023, Chris Getz and his staff immediately began conducting a top-to-bottom evaluation on our existing operations. Chris is rebuilding the foundation of our baseball operations department with key personnel changes already happening in player development, international scouting, professional scouting, and analytics. Some of these changes will be apparent quickly, while others will need time to produce the results we all want to see at the major league level. Our organization's most important decision in the coming months is to evaluate and identify a new manager and leadership voice for the organization. Chris is well underway with this search and has identified the key attributes and preferences for our new manager and has already began an exhaustive search with a wide range of candidates to lead the White Sox in the clubhouse and dugout. Even in the worst seasons where at times it felt like nothing was going right, there were bright spots that proved reasons for optimism about our future. The overall health of the organization is improving. Our minor league rankings showing this growth. The Class AA Birmingham Barons won the Southern League title, while Class A Kannapolis reached the finals of the Carolina League, and our organization has built an impressive future pool of very talented prospects. Whether said out loud or written in statement, words are easy. I understand we need to show our progress through action, and I commit to you that everyone associated with the White Sox is focused on returning the organization to this level of success we all expect and desire. Above everything else, I am a fan of baseball, of Chicago, and of the White Sox. Every loss this season, every blown save, every defensive miscue, every shutout, every sweep hurt. It was a long, painful season for all of us. We recognize on a daily basis that this is our responsibility to earn your trust, attention, time, and support. We vow to take that approach daily as we put in the work this offseason to be better. We owe it to each and every one of you. Jerry Reinsdorf. Vinny, thoughts?
I think that was a very nice summary of what the White Sox are trying to do. Certainly, if you were to ask, me, someone who's impartial, what is Chris Getz's plan? What is the White Sox's plan? There it is, written out. I just kind of would point you in that direction. Obviously, as the chairman writes in there, none of describing that plan guarantees that it's going to work at the end of the day. But he puts in there that it's going to take time, right? That there are going to be certain facets of that take a while to show up at the major league level. I don't think there's anything in there that is off of that track. I think that they are committed to this plan, and I think that they are listing right there all the stuff that they're doing and all the things that have happened this season apart from all the losses that happened on the field. And I also think the vast majority of White Sox fans do not care. I think that a lot of folks want to see them be better at the major league level tomorrow, and whatever it takes to do that is what they will be rooting for. Now, those are two different things. What you're rooting for, if that is the case, if you're not all in on the Chris Getz rebuild express, right, then that's not going to happen. I'm sorry. What I get even more so from this, as I kind of assumed that we would when we heard from Jerry a little while ago, and you asked, what do you think he'll say at the end of the season? Well, here's what he said at the end of the season. I thought it was going to be that he is committed to what Chris Getz is doing over the long term, that they are not going to stray from that just because this was the worst season in baseball history. And I don't really see a way that they could deviate from that at this point, because it would involve blowing all of that up and spending so much money that, we're talking a Mets-Dodgers offseason amount of money to improve a Major League roster that was not built to win in the first place. So I think that everything Jerry said there is very informative and supportive of what his front office is doing. But I think that it will fall almost entirely on deaf ears within the fan base, considering the amount of frustration that is out there over the way that this season went from a win-loss standpoint.
I think if you remove the person and the fans' dislike of the person, Jerry Reinsdorf, that letter, if written last year, I think everybody's like, hey, man, understood. Yeah, a rebuild is necessary for this franchise in 2023, if you're talking about that time when we just lost 101 games, and everybody's like, yeah, I don't like it, but at least you're being honest with me. You're seeing what we're seeing. The whole offseason of this subterfuge of not using the word rebuild and trying to stay away from that, and Chris is the guy to do it because he can get this thing going the fastest he can, et cetera, kind of led this season to be more disappointing than it should be. Now, Chris admitted in his late press conference that he wouldn't be surprised his team lost 105, 110 games this year. Now, they went way over that with the 121 losses. So the fact that Jerry's saying it now is kind of, it's good, but it's a year late. And we already knew that they needed to invest in all these things that Chris is talking about in the article, talking about revamping international scouting, et cetera, et cetera. This could have happened a year before, and we could have been on that path to getting better a year earlier instead of just waiting this year out, and now we're getting on that path. And if you're looking for, as Vinny said, something substantive on the field that shows you, oh, man, that is better than what it used to be, it might be 2-3 years down the road before you even see incremental improvement from this team, which won 41 games, to the next team that's going to win 65. So buckle in. And I don't know. If you're a White Sox fan, you're already in. You're deep in it. It's going to just be maddening the next couple of years for you to watch White Sox baseball, as it's been most of your lifetime. So you're already in. So, yeah, this letter didn't do you any favors. Something that you probably already didn't know wasn't written in that letter. Mea culpa was in there, but, you already don't like Jerry Reinsdorf. So whatever he says is already going to go over your head and say he's a sucker, he's a terrible owner. Anything short of I'm selling the team was going to be dissatisfactory for anybody.
Do you have something else to add before
I was just going to say that it is very stark, the difference in language, Herb, which you talk about between, we can even go all the way back to when Chris was promoted and where they are now. I think you're absolutely right in saying this would have been received much differently had they said these kind of things from the start. Now, maybe they didn't know all the way, right? Maybe Chris was doing a lot of evaluation and didn't exactly know where it was going to be. But we knew in the offseason that they were going to be rebuilding the major league roster. Mm-hmm. And they refused to say it, all that stuff. I just look at a big difference between the end of 2016 and where we are now, right? Mm-hmm. The idea that, at least it seemed from my vantage point sitting in the press box, that the vast majority of fans were on board with that rebuild. And I think that Chris maybe had himself a losing battle already because Rick Hahn's rebuilding project did not get to anywhere close to where they wanted it to get to. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of we're going to do something similar again was probably not going to be met with a lot of warm reception anyway. But at least you are setting your own parameters, right? At least you are saying, hey, this is what's going to happen. And now you've got Jerry describing exactly what those parameters are. But like you said, why wasn't this last winter? Why wasn't this, or even at the beginning of this season after they traded Dylan Cease, right? So it is a stark difference and an uphill PR battle, certainly at the very least, to get the fan base to buy into what Chris is doing, because it's the same goal. Yep. As Rick Hahn had. It's maybe even a similar timeline, right? Or a similar idea that, hey, look at the minor leagues. There's some good things going on down there, and one day that's going to be at the major league level. But no one, or I shouldn't say no one, but very few White Sox fans seem to be buying into that idea and buying into that, even if you want to call it a ride or something like that, the idea that you're going to be sitting here and you have no idea what's going to happen because these parameters weren't set out from the get-go.
I have never understood this. You guys have been in media longer than I have. Grumpy Pig and Friends threw out something that I've seen before. Jerry dumped it during the Bears game. Don't ignore that. Jerry could have called a presser instead of releasing a statement on Sunday. We should trust him. I've heard of the Friday news dump from Dan Bernstein. Is that still a thing with social media? Because my thought process is it's the last day of the season. That's why he's releasing it. I understand that he released it kind of in the middle of the game.
Fourth quarter.
But like the fourth quarter of a Bears game, does that matter? When should this have been done? Is this proper? I don't really have that much of a thought process because I'm on my phone 17 hours a day.
I would say that in this very specific case, I don't think he did do the Friday news dump. I mean, I think way more people are paying attention on a Sunday afternoon than would be on a Friday evening, right? The whole idea with that is that once people are off work, they go home and they have fun. You know what I mean? Had he put this out, had they sent this out during the Friday game, when it was Friday night and everybody was out having their fun on Friday night and doing it all day Saturday too, that's one thing. But I don't think you can compare that this time because Sunday is a big day. I mean, look at our show schedule, right? There's a reason that we don't do shows on Friday and Saturday. Because people got other stuff going on that they would rather dedicate their attention to. We do a show on a Sunday on purpose because people are usually sitting at home watching the game and have some stuff, want to have some fun with us. So I think that this is kind of the opposite of that news dump, to be honest, and there's a reason we're talking about it right now.
Yeah, we have to take a break, so if you have more thoughts, honestly, we will save it for after the break here. We do want to let you know about our friends over at Leinenkugels and CHGO.
Guys, I was just in Wisconsin last weekend and had a little campsite right on the shores of Lake Michigan. And you know what was such a great accompaniment to that wonderful vista? Delicious Leinenkugels beer, of course. It's tremendous for all of your lakeside fun, whether that's in Lake Michigan all the way up in Wisconsin where I was, or just right here right, go ahead and walk down the lakefront trail, go out for a picnic, have yourself a nice summer shandy while you can still get it. But obviously the seasons are changing. If you want a honey vice or a berry vice or Oktoberfest, that's what's in right now. Maybe you get yourself a lakeside cherry, maybe you get yourself a sunset weed. The point being, maybe it's a Leine's original. The point being that all the varieties of Leinenkugels are absolutely delicious, and you could have yourself just a complete sampler for any activities, indoor, outdoor, that you might be doing. So, folks, go ahead and flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugels. It's the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leine.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO. Or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes! We also want to let you know about our friends over at CHGO. Look at that. We have post games every single day throughout the week for you. Obviously now the season is over, but you could just go and watch our Bears post game. We have 2 of them. One was 2 hours long, and then we had another one. We have the Briggs and Brown show, which is currently going on. Very weird to see my coworker Alex Brown and Lance Briggs just walking around.
They're big human beings.
Alex Brown gave me a fist bump. What the hell was that?
He's happy to be here.
He is happy to be here, and I'm happy he's here. And we are excited that we have CHGO going on. We've been now covering the White Sox for 3 full seasons. It will be Monday through Friday throughout the
starting
week.
tomorrow.
So we have shows Monday through Friday. Very excited. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday we have some of Vinnie's beat writer friends.
Special
coming in.
guests.
They're very special guests. So make sure you're tuning in for that. And if you are a diehard, if you want to be looking into connecting with more Chicago sports fans like yourself, head over to allchgo.com/diehard. You can get premium written content at allchgo.com. You can get 20% off our events. We have tailgates for every Bears game. When they're away, we sometimes throw watch parties at Joe's on Wheat Street. They have a trip going to London soon. I think all of that's sold out, but that should still be fun. You get 20% off that. There's a free shirt when you become a member of your choice. And there's also the members-only discount code, the CHGO Lounge, where you get to chat with White Sox fans alike. It might be surprising, but we had several people talking about this game in our Discord when there's a Bears game going on. So truly, White Sox diehards are in our chat and in our Discord. So shout out to all of them. I think that's probably where we should end this, is thank you to all of the diehards that are active White Sox fans. And in that Discord, I think there's 100 people that are consistently active. Jared, Ian, Melissa, AJ. I don't know why I start naming people because there's too many people.
The All-Stars.
B-Dams. Yeah, there's a ton of people. So we are very appreciative to our diehards. If you want to sign up, allchgo.com/diehard. Shout out to Schwo for the $10 super chat. Glad I opted out of this season from Game 1, but missed the CHGO Sox crew dearly all year. Thanks as always for your incredible coverage and the tireless work you do. Looking forward to 2025. Maybe. He watched a total of 2 games this year, one from a suite, ooh la la, and drank the pain away, and one to see Ohtani live. Didn't turn on a single inning otherwise was for the better. And, that's up to you. Even as Jerry said, we have to win back your time and support. So I think that most of it was lip service. I would have rather him speak, obviously, and be asked questions by you guys. I mean, that's more interesting.
Always, preferred.
Yeah, more interesting. And there's much other things than this record that I want to hear from Jerry about. So it's not really exactly the way that I wanted this to be held, but if there is something to take away from this, Jim Margulis wrote over at SoxMachine.com about at least this line. The new leadership for our analytics department, allowing us to elevate and improve every process within our organization with a focus for competing for championships. Jim writes, this can be documented well before wins and losses because it should show up in the White Sox front office directory. The White Sox have 35 titles and 43 people listed in their major league and minor league operations. The Tampa Bay Rays have 132. And Sarah, if you could flash the other graphic that's more of a graph. This is from, I think it's on there. Yeah, 4 Rings Sports Solutions. They sent this to me in October of 2023. As they say, on August 27th, 2023, this was updated. So obviously, this isn't the most up-to-date. This is over a year old now at this point. But this shows the research and development staffing for Major League Baseball teams that are full-time analysts and engineers. Tampa leads this with 44. I believe that is the New York Yankees with 43. The Dodgers, 35. Philly, 35. And I think the 8 of the 12 playoff teams last year were in, or 8 of the top 12 teams made the playoffs last year, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If you look on the far right, You see the Oakland A's with 8 people, Colorado Rockies and Miami Marlins with 11 people, and the White Sox and Royals with 12 people. I do want to then go to the rest of Jim's article here where he talks about Britt Griholi's piece on the article about J.J. Piccolo taking over for the Royals. It is the first team Piccolo truly engineered. The organization underwent significant offseason reshaping before they even signed a player, hiring a new scouting director, promoting Jim Cuthbert, director of pro personnel and strategy, and Daniel Guerrero, international scouting director, and investing in new technology. As they turned over a third of big league rosters, the Royals also hired 6 people in research and development, including Pete Berryman, who travels with the team as a major league analyst, and a new R&D director, Christine Harris. Piccolo, who hired Quatraro from the analytically minded Rays, wanted someone who could challenge the status quo, and Quatraro and his staff, which included bench coach Paul Hoover and Sweeney, I don't know who Sweeney's referring to, my bad, but Hoover's from the Rays, Sweeney's from the Guardians, made it clear last season that the Royals analytics need work. Quote, if we were going to take a big leap in that area, it wasn't going to be a slow trickle of adding 2 people this year, add 2 people the following year, Piccolo said. To really integrate R&D, we need to go for full growth. So as Jim was saying, we can track this, and if the White Sox don't have more than, I don't know, maybe 15 people, 16, 17 people working as full-time R&D analysts, it probably won't be enough because we know that the White Sox aren't going to be spending. Chris Getz said this twice, and if they are going to spend, he comped it more to $22 million that they spent last year rather than anything larger than that. So hopefully whatever money is not being spent on Major League Baseball players, it is being spent on R&D.
Yeah, and I mean, that seems to be kind of the forecast that we're getting from Chris Getz. He kept using the phrase underneath the organization when talking about some of the, like, his offseason priorities. And to me, that is exactly what you were just talking about. It's all the stuff that doesn't show up on the roster, right? It's all the folks who are working behind the scenes in various departments, but you've already seen the change starting to be made with the changes he's made on the scouting side. And then obviously all the people that he brought into the front office to lead the front office a year ago. So those changes are coming. The thing is, they're not necessarily coming quickly, or at least all at once. You just described the Royals. Basically, they did everything at once. They did all of that stuff, that the kind of things that Chris Getz is working on now, that behind-the-scenes stuff, that the analytics departments, the scouting departments, all of that. And they went out and were one of the most aggressive teams in reshaping their roster over the offseason. Mm-hmm. So quite humorously and very amazingly, when Chris Getz was hired, you all were complaining about how, oh my God, this means they're going to be the Royals. This is terrible. And now, do you know what you want? You want them to do exactly what the Royals just did and go from 106 losses to the playoffs, because they did both of those halves of retooling an organization, and they did them big at the exact same time.
And had Bobby Witt.
And they have the second or third best player in baseball.
Yeah, I mean,
helps.
Like, if you look at how they've transformed, I mean, getting pitchers like Cole Reagans, getting the starting staff that they got, and yes, having Bobby Witt, having a superstar on a 106-loss team that's playing like a superstar still at that time, helps out. The White Sox don't have that. You know, Luis Robert, for wherever he is right now, is not that guy right now. But could he turn into that? Of course. Next year, he can be the guy that showed up in 2023 for the White Sox. But as we know, this change is not going to happen in this offseason. And if we looked at the graph again, the team that I think Jerry should be looking to, if he doesn't want to spend a lot of money in free agency, the top team is the team you want to be, the Tampa Bay Rays, with 43 people or 44 people in the research and development staff. Now, you can't do that you can't go from 12 to 43. That's going to be a lot. There's way too many people, too many cooks. You have to incrementally build up your research and development staff up to that, so maybe years that will take. But all Jerry needs to look at is like, okay, how do those people get wins every year? Every year you see the Tampa Bay Rays churning out talent no matter what happens. This year, a little different. They've had a lot of off-the-field things that went wrong for them, and so they'll take some time. But I would be looking at them as a example of, okay, we need to get there. Now, the Royals thing, I would love to get to where they are right now, but as I said, it's going to be really hard for the White Sox to turn that. And I don't necessarily think they have a need like the Royals had at the starting pitching position, where the Royals went out and got Waka and Lugo, and they pitched the way that they did. the White Sox, I think, are going to stay inexpensive and young at their starting rotation. And I think that's the right move because bringing in a big-time name free agent or a mid-rotation guy like that, the two guys they brought in, on a team that's going to lose over 95 games next year, I think is dumb. So the White Sox keep on this track will be cool, but move towards what the Tampa Bay Rays are incrementally. Maybe in 5 years you have 25 people on your staff, and then you can build from there. But right now, I think the White Sox are in a good position to be at the bottom. This is rock bottom. And now there's nothing but blue skies ahead. So I hope Chris Getz can do it. He has a lot of good lieutenants that I think we have trusted, especially Brian Bannister. Now, can they find a Brian Bannister on the offensive side? That's going to be really hard to find.
Blue skies ahead.
Oh, man. There's nothing bad here. I mean, there's nothing worse that's going to happen to the White Sox than what's ever happened right now.
Keep happening. The whole point is that Jerry Reinsdorf is stagnant and has not changed his thinking. My thought process
there's no more bottom.
Yeah, but they could also. There's no guarantee it goes up. It could just be basement dwellers.
It can't be 40-win team every year.
Not every year, but I mean, what? Last year they won 61.
I think the whole point is there's a big
100.
difference. There's a big difference between blue skies and just not being the worst team ever.
Right. I mean, even is 81 and 81 blue skies?
It wasn't when it happened.
No.
Right.
Because that was a team that was supposed to be doing things. Even last year's team was kind of supposed to compete.
Yeah, I mean, if you listen to Chris Getz, I mean, I felt like this team was supposed to be competitive.
I mean, I think we all knew that wasn't going to be the case.
Well, no, because
our records reflected
Well,
it.
hello. I mean, I was the only one, I think, predicting them with 100 losses. I don't think you two even had 100 losses.
We're optimists, apparently.
I think
blue skies are ahead.
I think you two had the more wins. I think I had this sane 68 win total.
I had 71 and 91, I believe.
All right. No, let's look this up now. All right. So, I do this before. One's the podcast where we make the predictions, and the other one's the actual article. Vinny had 71 and 91, last place in the AL Central.
Half of that was right.
He was right.
Herb had 68 and 94, last place in the AL Central.
Hey, spot on.
And I tried to go back-to-back years with 61 and 101, last
What a
place in the
fool
AL
you
Central. Most important player on the White Sox will be Colson Montgomery.
That's what I said?
Yeah.
Oh. He wasn't on the White Sox.
I mean, that's kind of true.
You said
It is
Andrew
true,
Vaughn,
but yeah.
and I said Garrett Crochet.
Oh, wow, you were right.
God, look at you. Look at you.
And the crazy thing is he turned into like a star. He is everything that you wanted him to be, and they lost 20 more games than I thought. Who will lead the White Sox at homers, too? This is my favorite. Vinny and I had Eloy. You had him at 37. I had 41 from Eloy Jimenez. Really thought that stance was going to be reworked. And you had Luis Robert Jr., which is a better choice. He finished with the White Sox, but he had 35. No one had our guy, Andrew Benintendi. Most likely all-star would be Luis Robert Jr. across the board. Best case scenario, Vinnie Duber, World Series win technically. But truly, it's enough players showing enough that they can go into the offseason looking capable of contention in 2025. So maybe I ask you this. Are they capable of contention in 2025?
No.
Okay. All right. Herb said 85 wins, which should be enough to win the AL Central.
It wasn't.
I mean, is that what the Royals finished with? I
think-
really want to be the Royals.
I think they're both better than that. I think the Tigers and the Royals finished with like 87 wins.
Yeah, 86 and 76. So still, hey, I mean, you could have been a wild card team. And I said going 71 and 91. I said the worst case scenario is 52 and 110.
Oh, you were wrong.
No, it was wrong by 11 games. You said a significant injury to Luis Robert Jr. And
that happened.
Vinny, you said little to no improvements in the areas they focused on this offseason. If they keep making fundamental mistakes and don't walk, and the defense is bad, and the clubhouse is no good, that's no progress at all from last year's disaster. So
I almost nailed that one.
the clubhouse.
The clubhouse was great.
So, I mean, there's something.
There's something.
On our way up.
Something to build on.
to the east side. All right. I don't know. The final thoughts on 121, then we'll get into the future rotation for the Sox. It's a disappointing year. I don't think that this will be too much of a blow to White Sox fandom. I think for the large part, White Sox fans are taking this in stride. And I think this could be a moment, especially when you have two teams in a city with younger kids, this could lead to, oh, hey, I'm going to pick the Cubs or the White Sox. The fact that the Cubs were, again, eliminated from playoff contention, helps the White Sox here. So overall, I don't think White Sox fandom took too much of a hit. So congratulations for you guys to kind of storming the weather and figuring this out, because this was a really difficult season. But I mean, even the last 3 games at home, there was a lot of energy there. Yes. And even though there were people booing for the loss, I think it was all in good nature at the end of it. So, for the surprising and horribleness of the season, I don't think it was that bad.
I mean,
like it was baseball-wise. It was the worst baseball I've ever seen.
You
but
turned on the show and you saw you wearing a bag on your head.
Blue skies ahead.
Yeah,
take the bag off.
I think it. Yeah, I hear what you're saying, Sean. But 41 wins, even though it's the worst loss season in modern MLB history, it doesn't feel as bad as that, if that makes sense. Because I don't think they're this bad necessarily. I don't think they're the worst team in baseball history bad. Because I think there's there's talent on this team and organization that could be better than it is. We've read off the Andrew Vaughn and the Luis Robert and Yohan Moncada, who won't be on this team anymore, stats and how they were just not even close to their 50th percentile seasons. They were just really, really bad and or hurt. So I think there's availability for this team to get better just by those guys hitting the rest of their back of the baseball card numbers. And then you're not asking for too much. Now, if you're wanting them to compete in the next 5 years, you're going to ask for something outlandish from these players because there's not a lot there. Carroll's in the minors. Same thing with Colson Montgomery. After that, Woolco, those are far away. And so it's going to be something. It's going to be taking you to be patient for years to come and having years like this, kind of like this, for 3-4 years until you see some type of light at the end of the tunnel. So, yeah, it wasn't as bad as the number and the records indicates, but it was still hard as hell.
I think in this present day, a season like this is not shocking anymore, right? This is what a rebuilding team does. They lose 100-something games. The number is shocking at the end of the day because it's never been done before. But the idea that your team is going to be really bad, I don't think has the same meaning as it did 15, 20 plus years ago. I mean, people keep bringing up, the Mets were an expansion team in 1962. The ridiculous circumstances of the Cleveland Spiders back at the end of the 1800s. But that Cleveland Spiders team was the only one of those two that wasn't built to win. I mean, before
the Cleveland Spiders also,
they were a farm team,
Major
basically.
League Baseball.
But my point being that in 2024, teams can be built not to win, and that's just a fact of the matter. Mm-hmm. In almost the entirety of the 20th century, no one's team was not built to win. Mm-hmm. You were always built to win, even if you were a ridiculous underdog. You know what I mean? If you were completely overmanned or overmatched, you were trying to win. And obviously these White Sox players were trying to win. Chris Getz would have loved it if this team went out and won. You know what I mean? But he didn't go into the offseason attempting to build a team that was going to contend for a division title. He knew at the beginning of the season. He told us recently, I wouldn't have been surprised if they lost 100-something games. Then in that case, you didn't build the team to win because otherwise you should be surprised if that happens. Mm-hmm. So I think when you talk about, maybe it wasn't that bad, the worst season that's ever happened wasn't that bad, I think it's that people have gotten numb to the fact that a lot of the times with a lot of teams in baseball, they're just not built to win, and that's that. We'll move on to next season and the season after that, or the one 5 years down the road when we can actually go into it knowing that this team has expectations of contention. 14
teams since 1962 have lost 110 or more. 5 of them were in before 1970. So 62 Mets, 63 Mets, 65 Mets, the 69 Expos, and the 69 Padres, which I think were also expansion teams. And then outside of that, the 2021 Diamondbacks, the 2021 Orioles, the 2004 Diamondbacks, the 2013 Astros, 2023 Oakland A's, 2019 Tigers, 2018 Orioles, 2003 Tigers. So a lot of them since 2000.
And I would also like to bring up one more thing that I think deserves some clarification. When we say modern baseball history, a lot of people go back to 1962 because that's the last time a team lost 120 games. What that word modern means is the modern era of baseball, which means since the American League began.
Yes.
So when we talk about the White Sox being the losingest team in modern baseball history, we mean since 1901.
Yes.
We don't mean since the 60s. We don't mean, since the games were being shown on color TV. We mean since 1901.
And I just got blocked because someone said local media won't report the final record of 41 and 121 was not worse than the Mets 40 and 120. It's technically not even worse than the 1960 Philadelphia A's. 1916. Yeah. So if we're going all the way back to 1901, the 1916 A's and the 1962 Mets were technically, by win-loss percentage, the worst. So also, take that.
Also, congrats. There's two teams behind. You're still the third. It's still the third worst season in MLB history.
You're still the biggest loser.
Well, I still just do love to bring up the 1899 Cleveland Spiders, though.
Yeah, hey, who doesn't?
They're just fun to bring up.
And also, we always talk about it. You had a name right there, Guardians. You could just retaken Spiders, you jerks.
Spiders would have been great, and they didn't do it. But I mean,
8 legs. Oh man,
I don't know. It's also different when you're traveling by train. I don't know. I really can't blame the A's for their train travel. I don't know. Whatever. You can't compare a team that's flying, even though it's on a bad airplane, compared to a team that's loading up the Oregon Trail.
Sure, but the point is that this White Sox team does stand with those teams mathematically. You know what I mean? You're saying you can't. It's throw them out. Well, throw them out. Fine. There's still include them. Throw them out. It doesn't change how bad of a season this was for the White Sox.
Well, and also you didn't have a payroll in 1962. I don't have numbers on a 1962 Mets payroll.
No one was making over $1 million. I can tell you that much.
Could you imagine putting in front of the 1960 A's and Connie Mack $133 million in cash? That's what the White Sox spent this year on this team. $133 million. All of those players would spontaneously combust.
1916? I don't know. They would probably do something else than baseball. Let's go
They'd
prospecting.
Retire.
Yeah, let's go prospecting.
They'd be able to buy a country.
Yeah.
With $133 million.
I heard the Depression's coming? No, it isn't. Right. We'll buy you out, America.
We have a great safety net. All right. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't already. We really appreciate everyone joining us. We got 21 likes, and we just appreciate with this season. People tuning in. Are you wrapping up the show? Are we done? Oh, I don't know. You started hitting the button, so I don't know. What time is left? How much time do we have?
You guys still got 10 minutes.
Okay, cool.
And then, you can technically go longer if you want.
No, I know. We had one more topic, so I just wanted to
Sorry,
keep
I
that
thought you were wrapping
the
up.
The timer fell down, and Sean rightfully freaked out.
You have 7 minutes.
There you go. 7 minutes.
Thank you very much.
And counting. Tick, 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 tick.
Sarah, can you flash the other graphic that we haven't shown yet, the rotation graphic? This is from NBC Sports Chicago. The possible options for the 2025 rotation. Dare to Dream is what they label it as. Garrett Crochet, Sean Burke, Jonathan Cannon, Davis Martin, Drew Thorpe, Noah Schultz, and Jairo Iriarte are the options that they list out. If I have to ask you guys for your 5 right now, who is it?
I'll go with Cannon at the top, Davis Martin 2, Bark 3, Thorpe 4, and then Iriarte is 5. Because I don't think Garrett Crochet is going to be here.
Yeah, but what about Nastrini? You think Iriarte is the guy? we saw him just
Kai Bush.
Yeah, Kai Bush. We just saw Iriarte in a bullpen role only, and I don't know if I loved what I saw.
What about Jake Eater?
Iriarte needing some time. Yeah, I don't know about Eater.
Yeah, but
he was on the team at the end of the year.
You have
technically,
you have the ability to mess up next year and to, mold these players into what you want. And I think Iriarte's main problem, like most pitchers who are young, is he can't find the zone. And if that's the case, cool. I mean, you were on a team that's going to probably lose 95-plus games. I think putting him back at, AAA, he's already pitched in the major leagues. Really, what's there to learn in AAA for Jairo Iriarte. Now, if he needs to go back and forth, that's cool. But I think Jairo Iriarte has a higher ceiling than those two pitchers that you named in Bush and who else? Nastrini. Yeah, and Nastrini has the same exact problem as Iriarte, where he can't find the zone. But I don't see anything that's dynamic about him. Jairo Iriarte has dynamic pitches about him.
Obviously we don't know whether Garrett Crochet will be back next year or not. I think if you had to pick right now, you'd say it's likely that they try to trade him and maybe do trade him this offseason. I think Davis Martin's name can be written down in pen. I think Jonathan Cannon's name can be written down in pen with what he was able to do this year. I think it's likely that Drew Thorpe is on the team for opening day. Sean Burke was very good in his very limited action here at the end of the season, but I think he goes in the group of show up to spring training and show me what you got. I think that they're going to take the best two guys, however many they need to fill from the group that we've been talking about here based on what they do in spring training. I think that it's going to be a very impactful spring training for the last couple of spots in that rotation.
Trying to measure value, Thorpe, does he not make it to start the year because of injury or performance? I just find it very tough for him not to be a part of that four unless he's dealing with the same injury he's currently dealt with or shut down for.
He's supposed to be good to go by spring training, so I think that you can't assume that, but I think it speaks well to him being ready from a health standpoint. I don't think the performance there, if you're talking specifically about that ERA, that's at 5.5 that we see in that graphic. I don't think that's going to make that big of a difference because I think they want this guy to be able to come up and learn. I think that they're pretty happy with what they saw from him from a composure standpoint, able to handle life in the big leagues, whereas Nick Nastrini maybe didn't show that quite as much, even though he got a little opportunity as well. So if Crochet's here, obviously he's the ace, but if he's not, I think you got Cannon probably starting on opening day and Davis Martin right there with him. I think Drew Thorpe is a part of that group, and then everybody else, show up to Camelback Ranch and show them what you got.
I am wish casting. I have Garrett Crochet in my rotation. I have Davis Martin, Jonathan Cannon, Sean Burke, and Drew Thorpe. My wild card is Grant Taylor. We're going to see him at the Arizona Fall League, and I understand that he was only at A-ball this year. I believe he was only at Kannapolis. But what we've heard about him is that he's very, very good. Was possibly the best pitcher on an LSU team that had Paul Skeens as a pitcher. He ended up going in the second round due to injuries, but so far the performance has been fantastic. I think he had 25 strikeouts to 2 walks in A-ball. You look at Paul Skeens and you're like, why did this guy start at all in the minor leagues? Is Grant Taylor that type of talent? If he goes out to Arizona Fall League and has some great times and a great performance, if he goes to spring training and has a great time and great performance, do they say, hey, why waste any bullets if he continues to get injured down in the minor leagues? Let's try him up at the major leagues. I'm just saying I wouldn't be shocked if that happens.
Wouldn't you think that they would have Noah Schultz ahead of him?
No.
Because here's the question that I want to ask you guys. There's 2 Chris Sale questions that I want to ask you. Chris Sale being 35 years old and seeing his dominance and possibly winning an NL Cy Young, should that lead the White Sox to being more cautiously optimistic about trading Garrett Crochet? I understand the talk is, hey, he's got 2 years left of control, but should seeing the longevity of Sale change your mind about Crochet?
No, they're 2 different pitchers, 2 different body styles of pitchers too. So I wouldn't look at that.
Crochet seems like the body that would last up longer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So
I'm saying 100%. But I wouldn't look at Sale and say that wiry dude, and then compare him to my big, strong, hulking dude and say, oh, just because that wiry dude did it, my big, strong, hulking dude can do it too. I wouldn't. Those 2 body types are different.
Anything on Crochet or Sale? Thoughts there? Okay, well, we did see Sale come up as a first-round draft pick and pitch out of the bullpen. He didn't love that. But could we see that with Noah Schultz? Because this has been something where we see him starting every Saturday in the minor leagues. Do they try to kind of simulate him? I think there's some sort of cooking where you like slowly add pasta water to like raise a temperature.
Not
anything like that.
Not next year. Maybe in 2026 we could have this conversation, but that guy needs to be able to pitch every 5th day as opposed to every 7th day. He needs to be able to go 5, 6, 7 innings instead of just 4.
So no Noah Schultz in 2025 for you?
I would just say that if you're talking about Grant Taylor, I would put Noah Schultz ahead of him.
Well, I would say prospect ranking, yes, because Noah Schultz, I think, has a brighter future as a starting pitcher, but who's ready? I mean, Noah Schultz would still be in college, and we look at Garrett Crochet, it's like, oh, you pitch 25 innings, 50 innings, and then you hit 75 innings. Grant Taylor's already been a senior at LSU. He's already gone through all of that. The thing that's holding him back is injuries, and I understand Schultz had an injury as well, but he's lanky. He's pretty just weak. I mean, he's not weak, but like
he's not big.
He's not big. I think there's a lot of filling out that he can do.
Still got a child's body.
Right, and as you mentioned, I mean, it's every 7 days. Grant Taylor was pitching on every 5 days. So I think he's just at least progressed like in an ETA sense.
More
but
mature. He's more mature.
And right. You know, Schultz has clearly the higher ceiling. I mean, Schultz, I think at some point in next year might be the number 1 prospect in baseball.
That'll be great.
That'd be good for the White Sox.
If he pitches well enough, I think it's possible by midseason he's number 1. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. That is the 2024 season. The White Sox go 41-121. We will be back tomorrow to keep you updated on all of the White Sox off-season ongoings. If you want to keep the discussion going with us, join at allchgo.com/diehard. You can jump into the Discord chat and chat with us whenever you like. That is CHGO White Sox beat reporter Vinnie Duber. What'd you find?
Rockies game. They might have won that one, too.
Probably a win.
They won 2 out of 3 of those.
Is that the Robert Homer?
This is the one that went 13 innings.
Yeah,
Oh, that
lost.
was a horrible game.
Yeah.
That was, honestly, that's the worst game ever. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him at Ectorwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me at Sean_W_Anderson. That's going to do it. Thank you to Sarah Fichter. Also, Sarah has been a huge help in producing these shows on a night in and night out basis. She's been doing a fantastic job. So thank you to Sarah for all of her great work throughout the 2024 season. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.